it must be remembered that the symbiotic link between pilgrimage and patronage, a salient feature of the history of the sacred site of Bodh Gaya, had become firmly established from the period of the Shungas, when it became an internationally renowned pilgrimage center for Buddhists. An inscription on a Shunga railing recording the sport of a Sri Lankan pilgrim named Bodhi Arakshat is a good example of this. It has been erroneously suggested that as time went by, replacement of the Bodhi Ghar by the construction of the tall brick temple must have required the relocation of the Mahabodhi tree some distance away, and hence its separation from the throne. On this basis, it has been further suggested, again erroneously, that as it was the Vajra Asan and not the foot of the Mahabodhi tree that was intended to be the exact spot of enlightenment, relocation of the tree may not have been problematic. On the contrary, it would have been definitely a problem. The foot of the Mahabodhi tree is the Vajrasan, as it were, and there is no way that an effort could have been made to separate the two. Thus, it is hard to believe that the Mahabodhi tree was relocated whenever the opportunity presented itself. It seems that whenever the need or circumstances arose to build a tall brick temple that could not be built under the tree, it may have been built a few feet away to the east. However, if the events of the construction of the tall brick temple and the planting of the new Mahabodhi tree somehow coincided, though its possibility would have been extremely remote, even then the spiritual protocol would have required the tree to be planted at the exact spot. Clearly, the insensitive Alexander Cunningham did not realize this when he went ahead with the planting of two trees away from the exact spot after the Mahabodhi tree fell in a storm in 1876. When Fashian arrived here in the year 404 of the Common Era, he only saw a stupa built at the place of enlightenment, which subsequently appears to have been expanded or replaced by a towered temple. Alexander Cunningham has suggested that as Fashian does not mention the existence of the Mahabodhi temple when he visited this place, and Xuanzang, who came to India between 1629 and 1642 of the Common Era, gives a detailed account not only of its existence but also its construction. It must have been constructed sometime during the period between the visits of these two Chinese visitors. He credits Amardev, identified with the Brahman Amar Simha, the author of Amarkosh, a member of the court of King Vikramaditya, for constructing it in compliance with the command of Buddha himself conveyed to him in a vision. Thus he sports on the basis of the information available in an inscription dated in the year 948 of the Common Era, Vikram era 1005, which recorded its construction in about 500 CE, and the exact conformity in size as well as in material and ornamentation between the existing temple and that described by Xuanzang. He felt, quote, satisfied that the present lofty temple is identical to one that was built by the celebrated Amar Sinha, unquote. Using the Q that Fashian does not mention the temple as well as the testimony of I Ching, it has also been suggested, for instance by Virardi, that the temple may have been built by the Sri Lankans sometime during the 5th, 6th century of the Common Era. According to Xuanzang, the small shrine built by Ashoka was later enlarged by a Brahman. Interestingly, Xuanzang points out that the Brahman responsible for constructing the Mahabodhi temple, as well as his younger brother who dug out the large pound, were directed by Maheshwar for this purpose. Thereafter, according to Xuanzang, another Brahman built the image of the Buddha in the Bhumi Sparsh Mudra inside the sanctum. Dharmswamin, who visited here in 1234 of the Common Era, also supports Xuanzang's version that the Mahabodhi image was erected by a young son of a Brahman. The difference between the story related by Xuanzang and the one mentioned in the Bodh Gaya's stone inscription is that whereas Amardev constructed the temple in compliance with the command of the Buddha as incarnation of Lord Vishnu, and the Brahmans mentioned by Xuanzang are devotees of Maheshwar. Even if the stone inscription of Bodh Gaya were fake, Xuanzang's testimony by itself hints at the indelible contribution of the Brahmanical Hindus in the growth and development of the Mahabodhi temple.